Thank you.
So what's the actual article today, though?
What do you mean?
Journal Sentinel. I mean, there was a couple of them, but what's the...
Unprecedented coup, Ziegler, Jesse OPP, Senate hearing on elections chief future.
Here we go.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. I'm loud and sexy. I got to turn it down a little bit. How you doing, Dominic? Here with me in the Mad Radio WMDX Studios, Madison, Wisconsin. It's always good to have you in my neighborhood.
Yeah, Crute, great to be here. Love coming to Madison. Nate working hard on the board. Thank you for your work today, my man. Our fair audience, happy Tuesday? Today's Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, Crute.
Happy Tuesday back at you. Do we wish happy Tuesday?
What is there? I know you normally have like a smart ass name for the show. Is there something for today that you'd like to, kind of generalize this fantastic audio product?
How about the Don't Tread on Me Tuesday?
Oh, man.
We might get there. We might talk about the Gadsden flag. There's some news afoot. And Jared Polis, who's the governor of the state of Colorado, has sort of waded into this issue. So we'll see if you want to wade in with us. But let's stay close to home, Dom. We live in the great state of Wisconsin. Let's lead there. And there's a big contentious brouhaha, and we're on the Wolf Watch. Megan Wolf is on the hot seat today, and they're meeting at the Capitol. That's like a block away from us. And they're looking to take her out. The Senate Republicans, Dom, she hasn't even been nominated, but they're going to take up her nomination anyways.
We did the Matthew radio yesterday, right?
We did the Matthew radio,
right.
And they've decided 4 is not necessary. So 3 equals 4. Carry the 2.
Divide by 6.
Drag Megan Wolf to a hearing setting, which he has been advised by Josh Call, the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin, not to go to. So today, we are watching, we are observing. It's been on Westside, some of this, and we've got a little bit of the sound, and I think we should play it for the audience, Dom. Now, first and foremost, I'm not clear that we have a resolution. Has anything changed today on the status of the Wisconsin? What is her official title? I keep being ham-handed with the title, Dom. What is Megan Wolf's
she's described as the leader of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
Well, I'm described as the leader of the Devil's Advocates.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
I mean, come on, what's her title? It's got to have a formal title.
Wow.
What's the title on her door? That's what I would ask. If you know, 844. I guess we'll never know.
Well, we can look these things up. We can find out. We can find out.
89. It's worth a Google. So we'll pin down her title, but it could soon be unemployed. That's the hope, right? That's what the Senate Republicans have in mind. So a little of the coverage, and then, some of the sound from today's big hearing.
The WEC Administrator, Crute. Megan Wolf, Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator.
Well, it sounds better when we know the title. A Senate committee hearing today on the future of the Wisconsin Election Commission leader or administrator. She's got a title. Megan Wolf's job quickly turned away from the legality of the process and towards false claims of voter fraud.
What?
In an election held nearly 3 years ago. Let's relitigate.
Litigate. Let's just rehash. Let's talk about it some more.
The confirmation hearing came after Attorney General Josh Kaul and the nonpartisan Legislative Council issued memos saying Wolf's confirmation is not properly before the committee. But Senate Republicans decided to take up the question of reappointing Wolf despite the lack of a vote by the bipartisan Wisconsin Elections Commission to reappoint her. And local clerks who support Wolf, conservative activists who falsely believe the former President Donald Trump won the 2020 election, and wait for it, Dom, and former corrupted state Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman testified at the hearing Tuesday. Of course he did.
Testify, Gableman.
Wasn't he accused of treating her in a misogynistic fashion in a prior court hearing?
Yeah, I believe the man who appointed Gableman for his special investigation, Voss, described him as an embarrassment to the state of Wisconsin. But no, let's bring him in and hear what he has to say about the, non-issue, but let's rehash the 2020 election.
Dom, Wolf was not at the hearing. Wolf announced last week she would not attend, citing Josh Kaul's legal opinion. Now, Democratic Senator Mark Spreitzer of Beloit, and Spreitzer's got a little history with old man Gableman as well, the corrupted former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
And the corrupted, special sauce counselor. Anyways, Democratic Senator Mark Spreitzer of Beloit attempted to stop the committee from taking up Wolf's confirmation, citing a Monday memo from the Wisconsin Legislative Council that stated an appointment or reappointment requires 4 votes of the elections commissioners under state law. That's the mathiness, Dom. A threshold Wolf has not reached because of the procedural maneuvers made by the commission's Democratic members in an effort to keep her in the role. This committee cannot take up a nomination that has not been made, Spreitzer said.
Oh, hell yeah, you can. Crute, Republican members of the committee voted to move forward. Senator Dan Knodel, that's my senator, chairman of the Committee on Shared Revenue, Elections, and Consumer Protection.
I'm sorry to laugh at you because he's really acting as an embarrassment to all Wisconsinites in this role.
He does embarrass everybody. Knodel, said he received the attorney's opinions, and they're just that, Crute, opinions. We will move forward with this public hearing. I will not abdicate my authority or the Senate's authority in this process. Even though she has not been up for nomination, they're going to take her up anyway?
He's going to ignore the opinion of the Wisconsin Legislative Council. And let's not forget, that's effectively what we also learned on yesterday's show about the John Eastman, right? The disbarment thing, the Jennifer Rubin column over at the Washington Post, where they disseminated and destroyed the legal defense that these lawyers might make, that somehow this is defensible. Well, just because you got a bad lawyer's opinion doesn't make it a defensible position. But that seemingly is the position of your senator, Dan Knodel.
Republican state senators passed a resolution in June to launch confirmation hearings for Wolf, even though she's not been nominated for a new term. State law requires 2/3 of the 6-member commission to nominate an administrator for a new term. But Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu has argued the commission's vote of 3 Republican members voting in favor of reappointing Wolf and 3 Democratic members abstaining from voting at all qualifies as a 2/3 vote.
You know what that precedent is? Good enough for government work.
The committee has to vote in an executive session on Wolf's confirmation before it would reach the full Senate. LeMahieu did not respond to questions Tuesday about the attorney's memo and when the Senate would take up her confirmation. Spreitzer predicted Wolf's appointment would end up in court in the lead up to the 2024 presidential election, resulting in confusion for clerks. Of course, they love that. A Rock County clerk, Lisa Tollefson, said clerks need one source for guidance on administering elections and said Wolf is respected nationwide as an election official. A quote, considering what happened after the 2020 elections and since, we are in a world of crazy for next year.
And it was still happening. The world of crazy. It's happening in real time at that Capitol today.
Right up the street, Crute. And what are they doing? They're rehashing all the old lies.
Now, we've got Ann Jacobson. She is one of the Democratic members of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. And She does the math and she tells them their math is wrong. Play it for the people, Nate, if you would. Cut number 1, Ann Jacobs.
A majority of the members of the commission. Mr. Davis is completely incorrect. It is not a majority of the persons voting. And we know that because in a different statute, it specifies that the majority of the persons voting may remove an administrator, but not an appointment.
So that, again, was Ann Jacobs as part of her testimony earlier today, a Wisconsin elections commissioner, a Democratic appointee. More from Jacobs. There is no vacancy, so there is no vote. Cut 2.
Now, in this case, there isn't a vacancy. And if there isn't a vacancy, there is nothing to vote on because the statute as written says we only vote if a vacancy occurs.
Now, a little more support for Wolf from Lisa Tollefson, the aforementioned from the Wisconsin State, the Journal Sentinel. Cut number 4 out of order here, Nate. Follow. Play for the people, please.
We were able to get supplies, National Guard. I actually sent out glass bottles of hand sanitizer out to the polls in April, where you peeled back the label and said just vodka underneath. She made sure we got the supplies we needed when they were being swiped off store shelves to make sure everything happened.
That was Wolf's actions as the administrator of the Wisconsin Elections Commission being described. One more from Dom's girl, Janelle Branchen. She headed up the Assembly Elections Commission. This from the denial of the election outcome side of the testimony. Cut number 3, please.
I think it was something that undercuts our ability to go forward as Republicans and Democrats to have faith in the system.
The only thing that undercuts our ability to go forward are people like Janelle Branchen. And let's not forget, she has been tossed asunder by Robin Voss. Gableman gave testimony today, the corrupted former Wisconsin Supreme Court justice, the embarrassment to the state. Oh, yes, the special prosecutor appointed by Janelle Branchen and Robin Voss, described as an embarrassment.
So let's give them a voice. Let's have them testify at the committee for a hearing for a position that's not even open to be filled because it is not empty.
Where's right-wing talk radio host Dan O'Donnell when you need him? Let's not forget, he was the only invited person that gave testimony at sworn Assembly Committee, Election Committee hearings at the Wisconsin State Capitol. They're not really looking for the truth so
These
much.
Republicans are so bad at governance. Like this is what they consider governance. There's not even anything to do here. This is a non-issue, a position not to be filled. It is still occupied. She's still there. She's not up for appointment, but they take it up anyway. If you're going to do that, why don't you focus on something like, I don't know, gun safety?
It will be before the Wisconsin Supreme Court in no time at all, which means it's time to impeach Janet Protasevich. Come back, more Devil's Advocates.
What do we want to come back to?
What do you think we should come back with? Is there another Wolf song? Werewolves in London?
Werewolves in London?
Yeah, otherwise of Wolf and Men.
No, Werewolves in London is better than whatever you just said.
You just played it. Sure, why not?
Walter Zevon?
Warren Zevon.
Warren.
I got the Zevon part right. That's doing pretty good.
That's the part that
We
matters.
still have Gableman's quote also we got to throw out there as well.
So is she continued to be on the, where do we stand now?
I believe I saw that they are not voting today.
The audience, largely consisting of those who falsely believed the 2020 election was stolen, laughed and clapped in support of Gableman's testimony and jeered Jacobs when she said,
You want you back on?
Well, you cut me off mid-sentence, man. Unless we're going into the show, you don't have to cut me off
Oh,
mid-sentence.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. We are on Facebook.
Outstanding, accurate, well-run election.
All right, here we go.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we're back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Always welcome to join us on the lines, 844-967-2789. Crute, the Journal Sentinel article here by Hope Carnop. Senate hearing on election chief Wolf's future becomes a rerun of claims about the 2020 vote. I want to get a little bit more of this out there for your sake, for the audience sake.
It was rigged.
So we can, understand how Republicans actually govern. Lawmakers began Tuesday's hearing with testimony from the nonpartisan Legislative Audit Bureau about the review of the 2020 election completed nearly 2 years ago at the request of Republicans. Republicans did not ask questions of state auditors who made several recommendations for the commission, including adopting formal rules on the use of absentee ballot drop boxes. So the Legislative Audit Bureau, this is the legislature's audit arm. They did a report. The Republicans today, no questions, no issues, nothing to say to them. But they sure love the jeering from the wackadoodle crowd.
You got any question, yeah or no?
Yeah or no? Spreitzer, the aforementioned, noted Wolf sent a letter to the committee Monday in which she said commissioners have voted to implement most of the recommendations contained in the Audit Bureau review, noting she does not have a vote as an administrator. The audit was one of 2 reviews, Crute, in the 2020 election ordered by Republican lawmakers. The other, led by former state Supreme Court Justice
Corrupted
Michael Gableman, taxpayer-funded review did not find evidence the election was incorrectly called.
But he had a gut feeling something.
Something's
Did
not
he
right.
strongly recommend the overturning
Yes.
of the 2020
Even though he
election?
found no proof, no evidence, no nothing, but his guy lost, and he got paid lots of money. His review, originally set to cost taxpayers $676,000, ballooned to a price tag of more than $2 million.
Good work if you can get it
And
as a corrupted former state Supreme Court justice.
If he were in Wolf's position, Gableman said, quote, wild horses couldn't keep me from coming here and telling you all about all the good things that I've been doing to promote and protect the accuracy and transparency of elections in Wisconsin.
The disingenuous, corrupted former Supreme wild horses couldn't keep. What are you, a Rolling Stones tune, man?
Well, we're not going to sing it. Gableman claimed, quote, a majority of people in Wisconsin have doubts about the honesty of our elections in the state. In a Marquette Law School poll conducted after the release of the nonpartisan audit, half respondents said they did not know enough about the report, including 54% of Republicans. Under a third of Republicans said it raised doubts about the election, but they didn't read it. They just feel that way. Conservative activists who have sought to uncover election fraud themselves, including former Menominee Falls Village President Jefferson Davis, Peter Berniger, and Harry Waite, assembled at the hearing to oppose Wolf. Berniger, a convicted felon whom Wisconsin Capitol Police are investigating for possible stalking behavior toward Wolf on Tuesday, called for her arrest.
That way he would know where to find her.
The audience, largely consisting of those who falsely believe the 2020 election was stolen, laughed and clapped in support of Gableman's testimony and jeered Jacobs when she said the 2020 was an outstanding, accurate, well-run election. As the article concludes, the election fraud is exceedingly rare in Wisconsin, and President Joe Biden's victory in the state was confirmed by multiple recounts and reviews. And let's remind everybody, especially Republicans, when they did the recount in Milwaukee County, Biden got more votes.
But that's not what Trump said as recently as last Wednesday night.
Well, people can say things, but doesn't it matter? I mean, does the credibility of the person saying it? I mean, these things matter. They used to matter. You know, like talk about the BS meter. Anyone could say anything, but you got to have some credibility on the topic. And Berniger, Jefferson Davis, Harry Waite, isn't Harry Waite the guy that sent out the ballots Yeah,
he might be.
He is. I
and
think
what
he
about
is.
Janelle Branch? Wasn't she stripped of her committee gavel
By Robin Voss.
Yes.
Yes.
And didn't they charge the Mound because he wasn't sufficiently trying
enough
to overturn the
they both
2020
showed
election?
up and talked and supported who is a gubernatorial candidate that we had to go see that crap show in Waukesha.
Tim Michaels, of course.
Right, man. Janelle Branchen was there, right?
Well, they endorsed, and they both endorsed Adam Steen,
Voss's primary opponent. Yeah.
As did I.
So
I and Gableman have that in common. I
Gableman
also had mischief afoot. We were trying to get Adam Steen to take Voss out in the primary.
Gableman gets embarrassed. He's called an embarrassment by Robin Voss, the guy that hired him and spent $2 million to jump
counting
from one foot to the other. Janelle Branchen, stripped of her committee leadership because, of course, she went after Robin Voss. And these are the folks. And then the audience. Jefferson Davis, Peter Berniger, Harry Waite, man. Consider the source. Consider the audience, man. This is if you want to get all the cuckoos in a room at one point, man, this was that party.
You know what? In light of the fact Republicans do not have an opponent for Tammy Baldwin, I would like to put a candidate out for your consideration.
Gableman or
Janelle Branchen.
I mean, either one would be a fine addition to the Republican Party to come up and challenge.
I think at least in regards to Janelle Branchen, I think that she is a true believer, which I think is perhaps the saddest case of all. You know what I mean? If you believe, despite all the evidence that's been presented, because I see the opportunist in Michael Gableman, right? Gableman doesn't believe it. Gableman's just willing to sell it because he's corrupted at his soul. My opinion.
It's hard to say. I would say this. I don't believe Voss believes it.
Oh, hell no.
Voss was just, making the political calculation and doing what Trump wanted him to do and trying to, placate everyone.
A little triangulation.
Which got him elected by like 200 votes. And he
280 votes.
Barely beat the primary. So that's Gableman. That's Voss. But Gableman, he might be a true believer. But does it even matter? I'm not sure it even matters. Either you're a true believer and you have terrible judgment, or you're part of the conspiracy and you have no reason to be anywhere near the halls of power and no credibility on the topic.
Come on, man. The guy went to 2 Mike Lindell cyber symposiums at taxpayer expense. If Gableman's not the expert, who is?
Janelle Branchen, because she went on, I think, Christina Bob's nonprofit. You know.
That's privately funded. I'm okay with that. Come back, more Devils. Always privately funded.
Doing the werewolves of London.
spent gets you closer to 25% off. No matter what you buy, make sure you buy Knuckleheads. Stop in Saturday and Sunday and get 15% off Wellness and Wellness Plus, including Delta 8, THCP, CBD, and more, while getting points towards your next purchase. Knucklehead CBD and Vapes, your one-stop smoke shop, located at 520 State Street in Madison. No matter what you buy, make sure you buy Knuckleheads.
Madison Computer Works knows using
Beth from Northern Indiana says she has a fun factoid about
emails try to phish your login and password.
this topic.
Messages try to trick you, telling you there's something wrong with your computer, even when there's not. Madison Computer Works can protect you from these threats. Our computer care plans help stop the scammers and fix your computer problems. Call 608-231-8000 for the computer support you deserve. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.
Here we go.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Tuesday edition. Dom here with me in the WMDX Mad Radio Studios, Solidarity Realty Studios. Shout out to Darcy and the team. Dom, America and Americans are a little worried about small d democracy. And we got some new polling.
Really? You think so? I mean, what do you think? Like Trump supporters ransacking the Capitol? I think that would make some people concerned. And other people, believing the lies that are fed to them by hucksters like Donald Trump. I'm a little concerned about American democracy myself.
Dominic, over 80% of voters say they are worried about the state of democracy in the United States, according to a new bipartisan policy center Morning Consult poll. 82% of voters, that's more than 80, said they're worried about democracy in the U.S., including 40% who said they're very worried. Dom, are you ever very worried about anything ever? Have you ever been very worried in your life?
I try not to worry about the things that I cannot control, Crute.
What about like tornadic weather systems?
No,
big
not gonna nuke. Not gonna nuke the hurricanes. Not gonna happen. Not on my watch.
The concern is evident amongst Republicans and Democrats, with 84% of voters in each party saying they are concerned about the state of democracy in the country.
Yeah, but for entirely different reasons, man. You know what I mean?
I just lay the facts out there. You digest them. You being the audience, Tom, not you per se. However, the poll shows that 59% of Americans do not have confidence in political parties to reach across the aisle and pass bipartisan solutions. Why would that be? Because actually, Joe Biden has had a little track record of success. Of course, no one ever talks about that on Fox News. So Republicans have no idea that, this what, IRA deal that Joe Biden just came to brag about?
Inflation Reduction Act, yes.
Which is really a green energy deal in some way, shape, or form, a manufacturing and industrial investment deal
that many Republicans didn't vote for, but will be happy to cash those
but
checks
some
when
Republicans
they come to their town.
Did sign off on some.
It was bipartisan to some degree,
infrastructure deals. Anyways, Tom, nobody talks about that. I mean, Biden a little bit talks more about the ones that didn't support, that will try to take credit. But here's the point: things are getting done out there. Just nobody's talking about it, except the devil's advocates occasionally. Dominic, 62% of Republicans lack confidence compared to 50% of Democrats.
Lack confidence in what?
The ability to reach any sort of bipartisan solutions. What's the last bipartisan solution to anything, man? The world's about to burn up out there. Republicans are going to call it a hoax. It's 100 degrees.
Ramaswamy literally said, like, one of the first things he said is global climate change, human affected climate change is a hoax. It's a hoax, Crute.
And if I recall, Ron DeSantis effectively pivoted on the debate stage, said, I'm not going to answer your damn question. And everybody else said, yeah, let's not. Because it will expose us as climate change denialists, which I think puts them in a minority, certainly with younger voters. The young people care about the future of this world, Dom. Little shocker. Some of the earlier generations, less so.
Well, actuarial tables are what they are, Michael.
Dominic, the findings come as Congress prepares to come back from recess. Oh, taking a summer off, well-deserved, as a potential government shutdown looms. They're coming back to break it, Dom. Lawmakers will need to pass a federal budget by September 30th. If lawmakers cannot agree to pass 11 out of 12 spending bills, the government will shut down. In a client report on Sunday, Goldman Sachs warns that it now views a government shutdown later this year as more likely than not. That's what Wall Street's saying, folks, because of the differences over spending issues and potential complications from various, let's call them political issues, Dom. On top of that, House Republicans are openly mulling an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. And Speaker Kevin McCarthy said on Sunday that an impeachment inquiry into the president was a natural step forward.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. 844-967-2789. Let me fix this, Dom. I got to bring up the callers.
I got it. Let's get to it. 844-967-2789. Welcome, Beth.
From Northern Indiana. Welcome, Beth.
Hi, guys. Good to talk to you again. I just had a really quick little factoid to make your first news story of the day even more rich, so to speak. You say there's a Republican official in Wisconsin whose name is Jefferson Davis.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Do
yeah.
you recall from history who that is? That means he's named after the Jefferson Davis, the president of the Southern Confederacy.
Wasn't
He's a couple generations of crazy.
Remember Boss Hogg? Wasn't he Jefferson Davis Hogg?
Was he? I don't know.
Probably so. You notice that when I lived down in Tennessee for about a year and a half, a long time ago, and it's hilarious how they're all like, "Oh no, we're against racism," and then you go around to these different subdivisions, and you have like Nathan Bedford Forest Drive, and all these different drives and streets named after the very worst of the racist Confederates. So anyway, just thought I'd point that out. I guess he's a couple generations crazy.
J.D. Hogg, I strongly suspect. Oh yeah,
yep.
Jefferson Davis, J.D. Hogg, also known as Boss Hogg. I wonder if Boss Voss's friends call him JD for short.
Might as well.
Beth, appreciate you listening. Any other thoughts?
I think I'm okay for today, except for I'm glad to see all these indictments, and I hope they televise that federal trial.
As do we, Beth. We will play along if they do. Thanks for listening and playing along today. You can always play along. 844-967-2789. There's our pal, Mark from the SAC. Welcome back, Mark. What do you got for us?
Thanks, guys. And apparently the Republicans failed math when they were in grade school where they couldn't,
Well, so did I. I can't hold that against them.
6 is 4. But you would have been able to answer that one. I mean, I'm sure you would have been able to answer. But these guys, what does statute actually say? You shouldn't need your lawyers to tell you that if statute says 2/3, it means 2/3, and they shouldn't need that they.
Well, that's when you hire private counsel, Mark. When the Wisconsin Legislative Council says you're outside the law, well, you got to find a different council that says, change the law.
A different opinion.
But you're supposed to.
I know it's circular logic. It's hard to argue with, Mark.
I just can't, and Josh called, get off your ass and prosecute, go after Robin Voss and all his fellow co-conspirators on this, because it's not just the law that says it, it's also in.
Well, for clarity's sake, though, what has Voss's involvement been other than to, help instill mistrust in the electoral cycle by giving an elections committee gavelship to Janelle Branchin and hiring a special sauce prosecutor and corrupted former Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, but direct acts of criminality, I'm less clear that I can name any of Voss, although he was hanging out with that guy that, took him on a lot of far-flung trips.
The Ohio guy?
Yeah.
Ohio, state of Ohio.
But my point would be is if he was aware that the fake electors thing was going on, it was his duty, his sworn constitutional duty, to denounce it, to call it that this is going on, this should not be happening, because that once our Supreme Court made their decision that no, Joe Biden won the election, anything else other than our certified electors casting their votes was what was supposed to happen. Because unless he did that, he violated his oath to support and protect, defend and protect the Constitution of not only the United States and also of the state of Wisconsin.
Mark, you make excellent points. They fall on deaf ears in Robin Voss. It's not like he's stepping down. It's not like he's confessing. He's exercising power, Mark.
What a quaint notion.
He's
Republicans caring about the oath.
I was trying to scribble down a few of the miscarriages of small d democracy here by the Republicans in the state of Wisconsin. And, setting aside the whole Walker stuff, just since he lost. Well, what was the first official act when Scott Walker lost?
The lame duck. They
Absolutely.
stripped powers from the incoming governor while they could.
And the attorney general.
While they could.
And Scott Walker signed it on his way out of office. So he was a complicit co-conspirator in, stripping small d democracy. But they were just getting started
with what? The outgoing governor, the governor who was fired by the state of Wisconsin to change the rules.
He wasn't fired. That was all about marijuana policy. And those stoners voted against me.
To change the rules under which he himself governed. I think if anything, Crute, that shows it's not just an election here or there. It's a constant pressure. It's like the sun, right? It's exploding, but the gravity is keeping it in. It's always under pressure.
You mean like the least changed maps adopted by the Wisconsin Supreme Court by the, conservative majority at that time. And then, of course, there was what do they call it when a tenant won't move out despite the end of their lease? The Fred Preen situation.
Squatting?
Yeah, squatter Fred Preen at the DNR board because he wouldn't leave, right? And he actually collaborated with legislative leaders, and they passed a precedent saying, you know what? We're down with this. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, again, under a conservative majority, is down.
But this is the same precedent that
rule.
Megan Wolf now allows her to stay.
Slow down. We got to change things.
Yeah, right.
We got to do a 180 right now in regards to Megan Wolf. We don't like her staying on beyond the term of her appointment.
Like Preen did.
No.
Wait, what?
You think hypocrisy is going to stop them?
Only matters if you have any shame. 844-967-2789. No shame here.
I'm not clear they do.
Hey, Dick, you're up. Welcome. What do you
They
got
have
for us?
party leaders named after Jefferson Davis to this day.
Hey, Dick.
Sorry, Dick.
Well, no problem. You said something earlier about, if you're watching Fox, you're never going to get, if you're watching any news, you're not going to get this. I watch MSNBC. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. And no wonder Biden can get no traction. The first full hour of Morning Joe was Trump, more Trump, and more about the trials, and all these talking head attorneys talking about it. And all they're doing is giving you their idea of what may happen. It's pure speculation. And Dom can talk about this too, what we think's going to happen.
And we often do.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do, yeah.
Right. And then down the line in the show a little while, finally, they talk about Joe Biden trying to do something with prescription drugs. That got about 5 minutes. That went away. Then something about the Ukraine war, and then right back to you-know-who. The media is playing into this. We don't need to cover that much. Any of this nonsense. It's purely speculation at this point, exactly what's going to happen.
But Dick, there are steps in history happening every single day, and the many legal travails of Donald Trump. It would be malfeasant not to cover it as the lead. History dictates it's the lead. Now, it can't be the entirety of the devoted coverage, I would hope, Dick. But, that's up to somebody else's producer.
And it has been too often the case, though. I mean, it's like the old the Dirty Laundry song, the bubblehead bleach blonde comes on at 5. You know, I don't need that 24.
No,
Dom's not a blonde.
I get it, Dick. But here's the thing. You know what? You know why they're doing it? Because people want to watch it. They're killing it in the ratings, man. People are sucking it up. No, I would take a little bit of exception. This is a little bit different than the major networks showing the empty podium, waiting for the Donald to come out and do his shtick, 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, or before he got elected. So I do think there is a little bit of a difference. Yes, it can get to be too much, certainly. But Joe Biden making an effort to negotiate prices for a select amount of drugs, important. Hope it goes well. Hope we save some money. Stick it to him. But the former president orchestrating a coup, the leader of the MAGA party, and the guy in charge, the guy in the head by 40 or 50 points from all the other Republicans. Having 4 indictments and 91 federal charges, and having things going on almost every single day. It's almost hard not to discuss it.
More Devil's Advocates Radio. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law.
Ingram, football, life, and fun.
Earl, you've been driving a Yugo. They just gave you a brand new Ferrari with turbo boost. So enjoy it, brother.
Under the helmet with the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram. Saturdays and Sundays at 1 on the Civic Media Network and on the Civic Media app.
Here's your Mad Radio forecast. Mainly clear tonight with a low of 50. Northeast winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. High temperatures reach up to 73. Tomorrow, ample sunshine expected. Clear skies again tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 48. Bright sunshine expected Thursday with daytime highs approaching 77. 83 Friday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 79 degrees.
Your home for the Devil's Advocate.
Think you know politics? Think again. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Love it when you talk to us. 844-967-2789.
Wasn't Tom Wolpat from Lodi, Wisconsin? One of those good old Duke boys.
One of them got a little grabby and weird towards the end, if I recall.
I think that was Bo Schneider.
I don't remember.
Blonde.
Hate to disparage, but yes, Jefferson Davis Hogg. We learned something today. Boss Hogg, Jefferson Davis.
I didn't learn that.
I learned that today. The Menominee Falls Village president, also Jefferson Davis.
Is he named after the Confederate leader or the hero of the Dukes of Hazzard's villainry?
Which is worse?
About a horse apiece.
The Confederate leader, much worse. The other one was just a TV show.
The fact that the General Lee, they had a Confederate flag on that orange car.
Yeah.
And they played it on network television.
Yes, they did.
When I was a kid, man.
I couldn't wait to see the General Lee,
all
man.
our buddies, I mean, there was only like 3 networks. I don't even think there was Fox then.
The UHF, or something else besides that, though.
Well, maybe PBS, but nobody's watching that except for replays of Badger hockey or something. But Dukes of Hazzard, that was big time watching stuff. And nobody ever said to me when I was a kid, like, oh, that's
racist as hell.
kind of.
I know, dude.
Kind of.
No one said it to me either. And of course, as a kid, I'm like, yeah, I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel, man. I'm still a rebel, Crute. But the Confederate flag, not great.
Well, let's go Confederate flag adjacent. Let's talk about the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. Have you seen that flag? I know you have.
Yes, of course.
You have professed sort of libertarian instincts. When I met you, you were Mitt Romney on foreign policy. You're right there on September 11th, Benghazi, the second September 11th. And, you were always down for drugs.
Yes. Personal freedom.
And sex workers.
I am down for personal freedom. Absolutely. Still am.
As, perhaps a Bernie cred, I would say you've always been a little left of me on a few of these social policies, certainly in the bedroom. But, Dom, the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, they used to have it at the Wisconsin State Capitol. I believe your buddy, Glenn Grothman, state senator, when we knew Glenn, had a Gadsden flag on the door of his Senate office.
He did? Okay. All right.
He did.
Yeah.
And I suspect he's not the only one. He's just the one that I actually would stop by his office once in a blue moon, and he'd have the Gadsden flag on it, if I recall. It's been a while. My memory's usually
he's a
pretty
big
good.
shot now. He's a congressman.
I hear, Dom. But, I go out in the state of Wisconsin. I go out in the more rural areas, Dom, and every so often, well, with some frequency, I still see the Trump flags. Trump 2024 now, of course. He won.
I know it. You know it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's always the F. Joe Biden flags. We see those out there.
Let's go, Brandon. See those a lot.
Rarely, but occasionally, a Confederate flag. But less ironically, I see the Gadsden flags out there around the state. Occasionally, associated with this libertarianism, Dom. Well, I don't know if you know, but a kid was dragged out of a classroom, and the Democratic governor of the state of Colorado has come out publicly and called the Gadsden flag a proud symbol of revolution in response to the viral video. And I would say, slow down. I would wonder what your opinion is. You know what? Just found out today. We got some Brewer tickets to give away for this Friday's game. The Philadelphia Phillies. I don't know if you've noticed, Tom. Brewers winners of 9 straight.
Oh.
They are killing it in the NL Central.
They humbled the Cubs yesterday.
They did. They came out swinging early. 5 runs in the first 2 innings, like 4 in the first. Home run right out of the gate. First batter. So, Yelich. And that was his first home run in the month of August. What you been doing, Yelich? But the team is hot, and we got some tickets for Friday night's ball game. Of course, this is Labor Day weekend, so we're going to give them away today on Tuesday. But I want to hear your takes on the Gadsden flag. You for or against, Dom? Let's start with your opinion, then I'll give you a load of coverage from your favorite news source, you libertarian wannabe.
I tell you what, Crute,
going to the Foxy News Digital.
I wasn't aware of the history of it, and so as we were talking about it in prep, I'm like, well, let's see. My impression all was okay. It was revolutionary. It was it was a
First Amendment,
something like that, right?
Specifically, in that a 12-year-old was thrown out of his classroom for having a patch of the Gadsden flag.
So would it have been
on his backpack?
Would it have been the same if it was perhaps the Confederate flag or the Nazi flag, right? I mean, so what levels are we talking about here? So let me just throw this out there. I looked it up. Here is from June 14th of this year from the Washington Post about the Gadsden flag. On April 18th of 1861, 6 days after the opening shots of the Civil War, the Philadelphia Inquirer described a great sensation in Boston. A strange craft appeared in the harbor, a merchant vessel from Georgia that flew a white flag having on it the emblem of a rattlesnake with the motto underneath, "Don't tread on me," and also below this, 15 stars representing the 15 slave states. The ship came from Savannah, where secessionists had embraced multiple variations of Christopher Gadsden's colonial flag after the election of Abraham Lincoln, eager to promote their cause as a second American Revolution. Stories about Savannah's political rallies and Don't Tread on Me flag had been reported in newspapers nationwide, so when a ship with a version of it appeared in Boston, again back in 1861, a large and angry crowd assembled. According to the Inquirer, as soon as the ship's captain saw the mob, he lowered the flag, hoisted the Stars and Stripes, at which point the Rattlesnake was eagerly seized and trampled upon by the multitude and torn completely to tatters.
It was literally tread upon.
It literally was tread upon.
Don't tread on me. And that's,
like,
I mean,
it's like Trump never surrender. So no, and while again, I love all the pushing back against the man and, I'm a rebel and all those kinds of things. If the history is based in, racist, misogynistic activity, no, I'm not for it, man. I think that's bad.
So you're anti-Bo and Luke Duke.
Kind of blame our parents, boomers, for all that. That was totally unnecessary.
They were also bootleggers, right? They were running hooch on the back.
My cousin Joe from Michigan. It has this awesome 80s basement. It is glorious. It is the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And one of the pieces he has is
if he finds my vape pen, tell him I'm looking for it.
Is a original Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox.
Ooh.
You see the crashes in the cars and and you open it up and it's got the thermos and it's got the Confederate flag on the thermos. So it was
not even
sensationalized, right? It was thrown out there to a bunch of kids who just ate it up. Come to find out, oh well, that's right, that's terrible, that's racist, that's not a good thing. So it's okay. It's okay to recognize and adjust.
I believe Daisy Dukes have inspired a whole generation of rap artists, Tom.
Yeah,
and country artists, and really men of all sorts. Come back with us, Catherine Bachman. What was her name precisely? I guess we'll never know. More Devil's Advocates Hour 2 coming up next.
And let us help you find your next home. 608-821-7002 or visit Weikert-Lakepoint.com. Weikert Realtors Lake Point, a home for all.
Why get one when you can get two during the buy one, get one lens offer at Ula Eyewear? Save up to 75% on your second set of lenses when you buy one now through August 31st. Have a favorite pair in need of new lenses? Buy one and re-lens your favorite. Stop by Ula Eyewear in the Hilldale Shopping Center and seize this offer before it's gone. See clearly, save clearly. At Ula Eyewear, Madison's premier eyewear shopping destination. Exclusions apply.
You're listening to
Find out what's going on in the world, the state, and in your own backyard. This is a Civic Media Network News Update.
It's 5 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Nate Wuggehout, and here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin Senate Republicans are moving to fire the state's elections director, but they may not have the authority. Terry Bell reports.
At a Senate committee hearing on Megan Wolf's reappointment today, Republican Representative Janelle Brandtjen claimed Wolf has not been transparent.
I think it was something that undercuts our ability to go forward as Republicans and Democrats to have faith in the system.
Democrats say Republicans want to fire Wolf as retribution for Donald Trump's loss in 2020. Meanwhile, local clerks are praising Wolf's leadership, especially during the pandemic. Lisa Tollefson is the Rock County clerk.
We were able to get supplies, National Guard. I actually sent out glass bottles of hand sanitizer out to the polls in April, where you peeled back the label and said just vodka underneath. She made sure we got the supplies we needed when they were being swiped off store shelves to make sure everything happened.
The bigger question may be whether senators have a say in Wolf's future. The Attorney General and lawyers for the legislature say they don't. Elections commissioners intentionally deadlocked on Wolf's renomination so she could stay on as a holdover. Terry Bell, Civic Media News.
Wisconsin Republicans are back with a new tax cut bill. It would reduce state income taxes by nearly $3 billion. Earlier this summer, Governor Evers used his line item veto to scale back a proposed $3.5 billion Republican tax cut in the state budget. State Representative Mark Bourne.
We are here today to take the funds from that veto, introduce legislation to return that money to the taxpayer. Basically, we're giving the governor a second chance to do the right thing.
The new tax cut is proposed for individuals who make as much as $304,000 a year. Retirees would also get a tax cut. There's a new campaign to encourage more civility in American politics. Alex Gonzalez has more with Utah Republican Governor Spencer Cox.
Last week, a day after the first Republican presidential debate, Cox took to X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and shared a video where he said he has found listening to understand as opposed to listening to debate is a powerful tool.
Healthy disagreement is about staying true to who we are, to the principles that we believe in, but also not attacking the person who disagrees with us.
According to the Pew Research Center, partisanship continues to be the dividing line in the American public's political attitudes, far surpassing other markers such as age, race, and ethnicity. I'm Alex Gonzalez reporting.
Lion and Cougar's Brewery and striking workers have a new contract agreement. Workers have been on strike for better pay since July 10th, and that's what Wisconsin needs to know. I'm Nate Weggehout, Civic Media News.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the happy hour, the Tuesday edition. I got my little buddy Dominic right here with me in the WMDX Mad Radio Solidarity Realty Studios in Madison. How you doing, fella?
Awesome, Crute. Good to be here, man. Love Madison.
We started what I hope is a little debate. And we do have some Brewer tickets to give away to this Friday night. Phillies in town, American Family Field. We're giving away tickets courtesy of our flagship, our Brewers flagship, WISS, 1100 AM. Listen on 98.3 FM, Oshkosh Air Support. And up in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, if you're heading up to the cabin this weekend, the Big Q, 98.3 FM, Park Falls, Wisconsin. That is the big 98.3. And then in southwestern Wisconsin, we've got WRCE. That's News from the Center, Richland Center, Wisconsin. We're your Brewers affiliate there as well. But 4 tickets to give away, 2 pair. Going to do it pairsies. If you want to win 2 pair of Friday night tickets, again, Philly, 7:10 first pitch, you got to have a good take. And my definition of a good take is quite arbitrary. So
however we decide a good take is.
Whatever we think it is.
That's up to us.
Let me ask you, though, Dom, the story that has motivated the debate du jour, if you will, is this Fox News digital piece. The governor, Democratic governor of the state of Colorado, has called the Gadsden flag a proud symbol of revolution in response to a viral video. Now, the viral video is of a 12-year-old Colorado boy being removed from his classroom for having the Gadsden flag on his backpack. Now, first and foremost, got to ask you, you ever been called to the principal's office?
Yeah.
Ever been pulled out of class?
Sure, but 12 years old in a backpack, you could have just removed the backpack. I'm not. So yes, I have, but as a kid, usually for naughty behavior on the playground, not for having a Gadsden flag or a Confederate flag.
Identified for bad conduct, in other words, not so much wardrobe.
No, not so much.
That's more of
not
an
so much.
adult pursuit, the bad wardrobe choices.
It's my lot in life.
I have been removed from class many times, but not so much for an outrageous shirt or anything. I never wore anything too crazy. More on the radio, I have worn some outrageous political fashion T-shirts and such. Worn a few to Trump events, mostly dump Trump, but I never got kicked out of anything, Dom.
No, a little more background here, folks. Let's get your opinion as well. 844-967-2789. Back to the post piece, a little more background so we get the full context here. Talking about the Gadsden flag. Republican lawmakers from the Tea Party movement claimed the flag in their fight against federal overreach. Far-right extremists carried it in Charlottesville and at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Today, Don't Tread on Me license plates are available from Virginia to Florida to Arizona, with Iowa this year proposing one of its own. Little is said, though, about the Gadsden's flag ties to the Confederates, who embraced it in their own fight against federal authority. From 1860 to 1862, the battle over Gadsden symbols resembled modern meme wars. Ultimately, the Union sacrificed Gadsden's Rattler because Confederates had irreparably tainted it. Gadsden, a Continental Congressman and Brigadier General from South Carolina, designed his defiant yellow flag in 1775 as a nod to Ben Franklin's Join or Die political cartoon, which presented the American colonies as a segmented rattlesnake. Gadsden became permanently associated with the rattlesnake Don't Tread on Me combination when he gave his new flag to Esek Hopkins, the first commander-in-chief of the American Navy. He presented a copy to South Carolina State Legislature too, and the Continental Marines flew Gadsden's flag during the Revolutionary War. The eagle largely had replaced the rattlesnake as the United States national symbol by the 1780s.
I never knew we were a rattlesnake nation.
The Gadsden's flag took on new life on November 8th of 1860, when the Young Men's Southern Rights Club in Savannah spread a banner across the Nathaniel Greene Monument in Johnson Square. On top of it read, "Our motto, Southern rights and the equality of the states." Beneath, a rattlesnake twisted above the words, "Don't tread on me." Thousands gathered around the banner to cheer pro-secession speeches, and in subsequent weeks, they marched through Savannah with their own homemade variations. As the news from Savannah spread, so did the flag's usage. In December of 1860, the Mason Daily Telegraph reported that a rattlesnake flag with the "Don't Tread on Me" had been raised by Reverend J.R. Willis at a pro-secession rally in Indian Springs, Georgia. That same month, Raleigh's Weekly State Journal reported a Southern Rights Club in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fayetteville in North Carolina, held a meeting beneath the beautiful representation of a pine tree and a rattlesnake with a coil. The motto, "Don't tread on me," etc., etc., etc. So it became, although it started out not necessarily, it started as a
Revolutionary War
and
symbol.
It became a symbol of secession.
Dominic, after being Fox News Digital, after being urged to respond to the news that a young student at a Colorado charter school was kicked out of class for having a Gadsden flag patch on his backpack, Governor Jared Polis, Democrat from Colorado, took to social media to defend the flag as a proud symbol of the American Revolution, which is historically accurate, right, Dom?
Yes.
Conservatives on social media replied by urging the governor to do something about the school disciplining the student for displaying the famous "Don't Tread on Me" flag. Now, Paulus made his comments on the former Twitter Tuesday after the video went viral depicting a 12-year-old student of the Vanguard School in Colorado Springs in a meeting with the school administrator and his mother after he was removed from class for having a flag on his backpack. For being a smart alecky kid, too, I bet, but I read on. During the meeting, which appeared to be filmed by the student's mother, the school staff member informed them both that young Jaden would not be allowed to return to class because the patch may be problematic for other students because of its origins with slavery. Now, Jaden's mother debated with the school staff member throughout the meeting, arguing that the flag originated with the American Revolution as the symbol of the 13 colonies' fight against the British crown and did not promote slavery. Well, both could be true, Dom. Still, the school staffer insisted the bag can't go back if it's got a patch on it because we can't have that in and around other kids. Now, the faculty member told Jaden's mother that the Vanguard School's Director of Operations, Jeff Yoakum, could help her better understand the policy. Email correspondence between the mom and Yoakum revealed the director's stance that the Gadsden flag had been associated with racist groups. That's also true, right, Dom?
Yes.
And has been interpreted by some as a racially charged symbol, thus justifying the policy. And once news of the video and this subsequent correspondence made it to social media, it generated backlash from conservatives who demanded Governor Polis speak about it. And the influencer, the redheaded libertarian, and Connor Boyack, who I've never heard of, the author and activist who broke Jaden's story, asked Polis to weigh in. The governor replied. Polis posted, obviously the Gadsden flag is a proud symbol of the American Revolution, an iconic warning to Britain or any government not to violate the liberties of Americans. It appears on popular American medallions and challenge coins through today, and Ben Franklin also adopted it to symbolize the union of the 13 colonies. The governor added, it's a great teaching moment for a history lesson. Well, they don't believe in the history part of it, Dom. The selective history, just the good history.
Well, right. Isn't that all we want is the good history, man? And here, who and when do we make culturally the change? The swastika was an ancient Hindu symbol. You know what I mean? I'm not sure they're going to be seeing that flying around a whole lot these days. Things get overtaken by subsequent history. So, yes.
We have taken the devil and turned him into a sympathetic and good character.
844-967-2789. Let's get to it. Joe from Madison, you are up next. Thank you for calling, Joe. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Joe.
2 points. Just referring to the past hour and then the present hour. The first, in reference to the past hour and this pathetic display by the Republicans up at the state legislature. I would say we're really in a sad place when fractions are beyond them, when 2/3 is beyond our understanding of our dear legislators. That's 2/3 equals 4/6. You know,
but they have
4 out of 6
alternative
have to be
facts and math apparently as well, Joe, because whatever suits their need. I mean, if they want it to be so, then they're going to force it to be so. They're having a committee hearing today. They're forcing the re-nomination of Megan Wolf, despite the fact she didn't get the prerequisite 2/3 to forward her nomination. Man, they're just making it up as they go along here. And I feel pretty confident, Joe.
You know, you can't. Right?
Can't or haven't before today. It's a new precedent. Joe, here's what's coming next. And I mean this. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. They're going to impeach Protasewicz, not because they think they can effectively remove her from the court, although that might be a conclusion that a stalemate reaches, but effectively the act of impeachment of a Supreme Court justice in the state of Wisconsin sidelines that justice. They can park Protasewicz through the process of impeachment. And if you don't think Robin Vos is going to do that, Joe, I got a little.
Oh, I think he will. I think he will. And I just when I say home act, because it's so pathetic and so it just is such a black mark against a state that already has so much against it in terms of having the worst gerrymandered state in the country. It's just atrocious, and it absolutely has to be addressed. When Iowa is doing better on this stuff than we are in really bad shape. I agree with you that Voss will probably do it. I think there's a direct line from the Klan group at the Michael Best and Friedman way back decades ago in putting the gerrymandering together off-site. You know, no public input, under secret, and this is where we are today. Is that little general is pushing this forward. So I agree. This may happen, but we got to stand tight and we got to stay strong. And I just think that this gets us back to the rebel. You know, I just want to make the point that when a person is looking for a rebel, probably one of the best you could look at is Tom Petty, and he had that wonderful song, "I Was Born a Rebel." Somebody he used to put the Confederate flag out on his stage, and somebody finally talked to him and said, "Buddy, that doesn't look so good." And
got to cut you short, Joe. More devil's advocates.
Think you know politics? And welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Taking your calls, 844-967-2789. Joe, that one's for you. Tom Petty, Rebels. And he did for a while. Fly that flag. I found this. I want to throw this out there as well. We're talking about the Confederate flag, the Gadsden flag. A 12-year-old gets pulled out of class for having a Gadsden flag on his backpack. CNN reporting.
In Colorado. Charter
Colorado.
School.
Charter school. You think they'd be down with that? Just saying, man.
Depends on the charter.
A little bit from CNN back in 2017 about Tom Petty flying this flag during his concerts. Flag controversy began in 85 when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released a record called Southern Accents. First single and the most enduring track was Don't Come Around Here No More. So good. But other songs like Rebels, you just heard that, were written as what was intentionally intended to be a concept album about his Southern roots. But the concept part slipped away probably 70% or so into the album, Tom Petty said in a Rolling Stone interview. I just let it go. But the Confederate flag became part of the marketing for the tour. I wish I'd have given it more thought. It was a downright stupid thing to do. The song refers to a character, as Petty later explained, being born in Dixie, and includes the refrain, with 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on the pedal, I was born a rebel. Over time, though, some fans began to associate Petty and the Confederate emblem. Here's how Petty recalled the moment when he began to push back and how his fans responded. Quote, I used it on stage during that song, Rebels, and I regretted it pretty quickly. When we toured 2 years later, I noticed people in the audience wearing Confederate flag bandanas and things like that. One night, someone threw one on stage. I stopped everything and gave a speech about it. I said, look, this was to illustrate a character. This is not who we are. Having gone through this, I would prefer if no one would ever bring a Confederate flag to our shows again, because this isn't who we are. It got mixed reaction. There were some boos and some cheers, but honestly, it's a little amazing to me because I never saw one again after that speech in that one town. So, yeah, it's okay to recognize and corrective action. I think Tom Petty did the right thing.
You've learned something about the Gadsden flag even during the course of today and research for this conversation, right, Tom?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I knew the Navy fluid and the Marines, right, all that. I was not up to speed on it being co-opted. Much like the Germans and Nazi Germany took over the swastika from ancient Hindu.
Well, I had noticed during the Tea Party uprising, there was a co-opting going on. Maybe I'm just a little more observant. 844-967-2789. Jack from the Mac. Welcome back. What do you got?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, the first thing, guys, I want to say is I apologize for my calling yesterday. Got kind of on a tirade against Johnson, and I just sort of got lost in it. But I do have something specific about today's show, which is the Republicans. Let's see now: impeach Protasewicz, impeach Biden, take Megan Wolf off of the election administration. These guys are obviously running in incredible fear. Voss knows that it's going to be a huge backlash once the districts are not gerrymandered anymore, and there are fair elections in almost all of them. And the same thing is true at the federal level. These guys realize they're doing anything they possibly can to keep or steal that power, and they just keep on doing whatever they want. They don't do anything else in terms of helping the American public. I call the party not the Republicans, the Republicans, because they can't do anything except try to damage the country and try to hold on to power. So there's my tirade for today.
Right, Jack.
Not bad, Jack.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate
it. Hey, man, you ever... Well, let's keep Jack around.
Right, yeah.
I guess we didn't ask Jack. You ever go to a Brewer game?
Yeah.
You ever go to a Brewer game on the Devil's Advocates? You want to go, Jack? I got some tickets for Friday.
Oh, man, I'm out of town this weekend, as a lot of people are. I do appreciate that, and, I got one of your T-shirts a while back, which I proudly wear while I'm working out, and I occasionally work out in New Berlin, which is really kind of interesting to see the stares I get. But
Why
Yeah,
don't
it's
they
not
like?
exactly
Why
the
don't?
liberal
Why
bastion.
don't they like your workout wardrobe choices in New Berlin? Is it?
Yeah, it's not exactly the liberal bastion of the state. Let's put it like that.
Well, not yet.
We're working on it, Jack. You keep wearing that swag, man. We appreciate it. 844-967-2789. But Jack, I got to tell you, man, the Republicans, they do things for us. Well, for some people, as Jesse Poynt and Bill Glauber point out today at the Journal Sentinel, Assembly Republicans introduce a $2.9 billion tax cut aimed at a broad swath of filers and retirees.
Mostly rich people.
Mostly.
Broad swath of rich, well-to-do people that, can barely get by without another massive tax cut.
Assembly Speaker Robin Vos told reporters at a news conference in Oak Creek that Republicans heard Governor Evers' message on his veto of the last tax cut package, and they wanted to make sure that we offered a tax cut he would sign. So,
Willie?
There you go. It's not just, impeaching, impeding, overturning, ignoring. It's not just that. It's also tax cuts.
For rich people, primarily.
I mean, when you have gun problems, tax cuts. Global climate change, tax cuts. Your foot hurts, tax cuts. They have a solution. That's what they're there for. Cameron from Nina, 1 minute. Welcome. What do you got for us, Cameron?
Hey, Cameron.
Hey, right. So when I think of that kid with the backpack, I'm telling you right now, there's no way that kid cares up or down which way this goes. I'm sure that they were annoyed that they were kicked out of class, but I'm sure that kid was annoying in a lot of other ways too. When I was in school, I had an English teacher pull me out of class, and he sat me down and he said, "Do you know what a double entendre is?" And I was like, "No." And I was in his AP English class, so kind of shame on me for not knowing. But he told me I needed to go reverse my shirt. It was a Hollister surfboard shirt that said "Ride the Tip" across one of the surfboards. He told that to me as a 7th grader.
Cameron, you got to turn the shirt inside out. That ain't appropriate. Come back, more Devil's Advocates.
Here we go.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. The
tell you a
Devil's
story.
Advocates.
About the house in blue.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition, the happy hour. Rolling through it. And I got to tell you, I got a hell of a deal for the people listening in the Milwaukee area. I can get you hammer drunk for free on former Packer quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Did you see this offer? Jack's American Pub on Milwaukee's Lower East Side has posted a heck of an offer for the upcoming NFL season. It does require you to cheer against former Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Check. I'm down for that, Dom. The Jets lose, you win promotion, Dom, is pretty simple. If the Jets lose with Aaron Rodgers under center, the bar picks up your entire bar tab. Seriously. The only caveats, you have to be at the bar and open the tab 15 minutes before the Jets game. Stay at the bar to watch the whole game. I assume restroom breaks are acceptable, Dom, because if I'm drinking during the whole Jets
3
game,
hours, right?
I'm going to need to hit the restroom. Aaron Rodgers must be starting for the promotion to kick in, and the Jets must lose for patrons to get their tab paid off. I'd say there's, we're probably looking at like a 9-8, 8-9 Jets season.
What do you think? I mean, you're the sports guy here, Crute. Who's going to have a better seasons, the New York Jets or the Green Bay Packers?
Ooh, that could be close. Are we co-managers of a fantasy football team?
We are. Did you get your email? Yes, we are. You should.
I don't think I got the email.
All right. Rocker sent it over. You gotta step up, man. We got a draft this weekend. Well, put it on auto draft.
Auto draft.
Yeah.
Well, auto draft. You know who I don't want? Aaron Rodgers.
No?
If this man wants to make it to the Hall of Fame as a former Packer and retire as a Packer, he's going to have to lose a lot of games and pay a lot of bar tabs. Don, the deal doesn't include food. This one's going to screw you. Excludes top shelf liquor.
Oh, what?
And doesn't work on Sundays when the Packers and Jets play at the same time. The bar, understandably, is going to show the Packer game on those dates. But that's only 4 conflicting dates. It's got 13 opportunities, presuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and he loses to get your bar tab paid. That's a hell of a deal, Dom. I like that. This includes the season opener, September 11th, when the Jets, 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 face the Bills on Monday Night Football. Ooh, Monday night, Dom.
A Monday night rager on Brady Street.
The Bills have the 3rd best odds to win the Super Bowl. So if you want to pace yourself, you might want to wait a week. In fact, 5 of the games, 2 against Buffalo, 2 against, another against Dallas, KC, and Philadelphia, features meetings against teams with better Super Bowl odds than the Jets. These are your contenders, folks. I think they're going to expect the Jets to get off to a bad start this year. The great news is Packers play the Bears, so I feel pretty confident 1-0. Could get ugly after that, but 1-0, Dom. Now, Milwaukee bargoers and the Packers organization, including President Mark Murphy, are now pulling for the same thing. That Rodgers plays the majority of the games for the Jets this season. As part of the compensation package, the Packers will get the Jets' first-round pick in 2024 if Rodgers plays 65% of the team snaps this year. Otherwise, they get a second-rounder. So we've all got skin in this game, Don.
Right.
So anyways, lots of games.
No top
Jets
shelf
games.
liquor. I mean, you can only drink so many PBRs, man.
What would you'd be drinking like Cuervo or something?
Right.
When you don't normally what's above the top shelf? What's up there?
Oh, maybe some.
Depends on if Crudy's paying the bar
Might
tab
have
or
to
not.
be some Captain Morgan or something.
Get,
I mean, that's,
get the tall ladder. That's what Dom says. Dom, why do I bring up this drinking engagement?
Well, because it's a bar on Brady Street in Wisconsin.
And
That's
we
what
could go
do.
there.
Yes.
That could be part of it, Dom. That might be a small part of it. But here's the pivoting, the political story that I paired together, like a good steak and a red wine. Trump has no defense if he knew Giuliani was drunk giving legal advice. Now, isn't this what we've heard reported? The genesis of the rigged election was a drunken Rudy Giuliani.
Just go on and say you want, man. Just go on and say you want. I mean, just say you want it, man. You know, it's like acting. You know, if you acted enough, you become the part, Crute.
Dominic, one of the findings detailed in the House Select Committee on the 2020 election and the J6 was that Donald Trump was getting a lot of legal advice that his ideas wouldn't work. Further, he's being told that the outlandish plots from the likes of Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman wouldn't work. But it was as if Trump allies were searching for lawyers who were willing to support legally unsound ideas to overthrow the election, according to reports. Now, Rolling Stone's reporting today that among the threads of the investigation, special counsel Jack Smith's team is polling is to the degree to which Rudy Giuliani was drunk while giving legal advice to Trump. Further, it explained, did Donald Trump and his allies know that Rudy Giuliani
Right,
was drunk when he took office? The special counsel's team has also asked these witnesses if Trump had ever gossiped with them about Giuliani's drinking habits, and if Trump had ever claimed Giuliani's drinking impacted his decision-making or judgment. Now, it's my understanding from prior reporting, Dom, Rudy was passed over for, attorney general because Trump thought he was a drunk, and Trump had lost a brother to alcoholism. Never quite liked the drunks, apparently. Thought they were weak human beings. You know, good enough for free legal advice, but
I mean,
not quite good enough for attorney general.
Can't beat the price.
Let's not forget who he started with, Jeff Sessions. What a fine AG choice that made.
Man.
Dominic, another question, according to the report, is whether Trump was warned about Giuliani's drinking habits, including after election night 2020. They asked if any of the witnesses in the Oval Office or on the conference calls were aware of whether Giuliani was drunk. Yeah, probably. Well, giving legal advice and how much? Like how drunk or
how much legal advice? Right.
Here's a quote, Tom. Federal prosecutors often aren't interested in investigating mere alcohol consumption. But according to lawyers in the room with the special counsel investigators, Smith and his team are interested in this subject because it could help demonstrate that Trump was implementing the counsel of somebody he knew to be under the influence and perhaps not thinking clearly, the report continued. I mean, Giuliani's not exactly known for his clear-headedness anymore. If that were the case, it could add to federal prosecutors' argument that Trump behaved with willful recklessness in his attempts to nullify the 2020 election by relying heavily on a lawyer he believed was inebriated. Hammer drunk, Dom.
Author Michael Wolff confirmed in his book Landslide, The Final Days of the Trump Presidency, that the former America's mayor is drinking all the time. Quote, he is, if not constantly drunk, certainly buzzed throughout this period. Actually, probably throughout most of the Trump administration.
If I ever write a book, Dom, I'm going to point out that you are too.
Yeah. It had to get through it somehow. Beyond that, he is a desperate figure. Desperate. He will do anything to be at the center of attention. If that involves saying anything that Trump wants to hear, he will certainly do that, as we've seen. And again, everyone in the White House, in the campaign, in Trump's family knows it's incredibly destructive to the Trump White House. Many of them actually blame Rudy even more than they blame the president, although everyone blames the president for the last 4 years. Former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner questioned whether Trump was intentionally taking bad advice as cover to do what he wanted to do. A quote, is he taking the advice from somebody who everyone in the room knows is drunk? He asked. If you're taking advice from a thoughtful, sober, learned counsel that, might give you some protection on the advice of counsel front. But if you're taking advice from, the town drunk sitting in the public square yelling at the clouds, you're not going to have much of advice of counsel defense. Speaking out about the allegations against him, Trump has claimed he was just doing what his lawyers told him. These are not salacious issues. I think more fundamentally on the advice of counsel defense. I also think it is really hard for Donald Trump to pursue that when his counsel are his co-defendants in the January 6th trial, Kirshner said. They're his unindicted co-defendants, and there's no advice of co-defendant offense. So that also complicated the advice of counsel defense that Donald Trump might otherwise have. Here's a quote. Giuliani wrote this. I am disgusted and outraged at the outright lie by Jason Miller and Bill Sepien. Giuliani wrote on social media during the January 6 hearings in Congress. He said if he was acting erratically, it was because he was angry that they weren't addressing fake claims of voter fraud. I was upset that they were not prepared for the massive cheating, as well as other lawyers around the president. I refused all alcohol that evening.
No. Come on, Rudy.
I refused, all caps, all alcohol that evening. My favorite drink? Diet Pepsi. Giuliani added, is the false testimony from Miller and Stepien because I yelled at them? ? Are they being paid to lie? ? Oh, Rudy. But, the good news is if you go down to Jack's American Pub on Brady Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you can watch the Jets lose and get your non-top shelf booze paid for.
And Rudy's Pepsi.
And Rudy's Pepsi. He loves the Pepsi.
What do you think he puts in that Pepsi?
Rum. What do you put in Pepsi?
Rum. Doesn't everybody?
I mean, Jack, Jack, whiskey. People like their whiskey and sodas.
Some like bourbon.
Mix it. Just drink that straight, man. 844-967-2789.
Others give up the sport before they're publicly humiliated and indicted multiple times and disbarred. Some would call that hitting rock bottom. The divorce, the allegations of paying off the mistress turned employee.
And then the sexual allegations as well against the
Rudy used
employee.
To be a federal prosecutor and America's mayor.
Used to be.
If this ain't rock bottom, Rudy, I mean, the parking lot, the Four Seasons, the dripping Grecian formula, someone should have said, lay off the booze at that point. But no, Rudy.
He was in the movie. He was in the movie with the young lady.
The Borat girl.
And lays down and pulls his pants? What was he doing?
Adjusting his microphone.
Is that what it was?
That's
Adjusting the microphone?
That's what the kids call it.
Yeah.
Dropping the mic.
Uh-huh. I mean, perhaps rock bottom. No, it's not rock bottom yet, because when he gets thrown to the clink, then it'll be rock bottom.
That's like a 12-step program of its own, isn't it, Don? Federal prison. 844-967-2789. If you've ever cleaned up in federal prison, call us now.
We do have some updates. Crute, let's see here. Fani Willis, a couple of things. A Georgia judge orders the Trump implicating special grand jury report to be publicly released. We like that idea.
That's going to drive Trump to drink.
Also, on this same news in Georgia, Fani Willis moves to fast track all 19 defendants in Georgia election conspiracy case. On Tuesday, she asked the judge presiding over the case against Donald Trump and the former president's 18 co-defendants to fast track the case, according to court filings obtained by Political's Kyle Cheney. Willis's filing would allow defendants to file motions seeking to sever their case from the broader conspiracy case, Cheney reports. Trump, along with his co-defendants earlier this month, were indicted. We know that. The case is being tried under the state's racketeering law. Justin, DA Fani Willis is asking the judge in the Trump racketeering case to fast-track all 19 of the defendants, not just Ken Chesebro, while permitting others to file motions to sever from the larger case. According to Willis's filing, quote, the state of Georgia further respectfully requests that the court set a deadline for any defendant wishing to file a motion to sever, allow the parties, including the state of Georgia, sufficient time to brief the severance issue and hold a hearing on any filed motion to sever so that the court may consider factors set forth as required by Georgia law. Let's line them up and knock them down. Fani Willis, fast track, all 19.
Dominic, questions from the texting audience. They can text in on the shiny Civic Media app. Here's a question. Will the Devils be covering First Lady Jill Biden's Madison events with Tammy Baldwin this Thursday? No, we will not. Not as far as I know. Are you credentialed? I'm not credentialed.
I am not, no.
Will it be at a bar?
Probably
will they pay our tab? Will Aaron Rodgers pick up my tab if I cover a Jill Biden event in Madison? Would I be fully immunized if he did?
Yeah.
Come back with us. More Devils advocates. Got a Brewers game going off against the Cubbies at 7:10 a little bit later tonight. Not yet. More of us More of you on the phones, 844-967-2789.
To mastering those retrieval skills season. From
Last segment, what are we feeling?
Let me think here.
Got to give the tickets away tomorrow. There wasn't enough inertia for anything today. Oh, I've got one. This is funny. Where is it? It's not Drunken Giuliani. I did enjoy that one as well.
Is there a song, Last Call for Alcohol? Yeah, Last Call by Hardcore Superstar. If you got it, fine. If not, just do something.
Is that a text request?
No, it's mine. Did you? Where'd it go now? Who's the CPAC guy? Apparently, there's more CPAC stuff coming out.
Matt Schlepp.
There we go.
He schlepped up.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our last segment of the day. You can join us 844-967-2789. Stick around. The Maggie Dawn show coming up next.
Last call for the alcohol, Dom. Always the saddest moment of the evening. Especially if you can't get the bartender's attention. You know, like he's trying to cut you off. You know how that feels.
I
don't
have
you,
no
Dom?
idea what you're talking about, Kurt. It never happened to me.
Dom, one of the funnier, more ironic statements ever made in the history of mankind.
Yes.
Made today by Donald Trump. I'd like to share it with you. Former President Donald Trump accused Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy of being too controversial after he suggested the U.S. government was involved in the attacks of September 11th, 2001. We were involved. Trump made the remarks during an interview with conservative host Glenn Beck on Tuesday. I think he's great, Trump said when asked if he would consider Ramaswamy as vice president. Ramaswamy's the I'm going to pardon Trump on the first day guy. Dom, here's more from the former. Look, anybody that said, I'm the best president in a generation, he continued, and he said it a couple of times, and he said it in 100 years, so I have to like a guy like that. He likes me, so I like him. That's like the theme of the Jane Says song from, you know the song. I want them if they want me.
Trump.
Carrie Lake and MTG both desperately want that job. But anyways, Trump also had a warning for the Republican newcomer. Dom, as mentioned, this is perhaps the most ironic statement ever made in the history of stupidity and Donald Trump kind. He's starting to get out there a little bit, the former president observed. He's getting a little bit controversial. I've got to tell him to be a little bit careful because some things you have to just hold in a little bit.
Yeah. Really, Trump's been holding back. What are the things Trump's possibly held back?
Filtered Trump?
Is it? Are we seeing the filtered Trump? I mean, obviously we are. If this is his comment about Vivek Ramaswamy.
Dominic, an audio recording recently resurfaced of Ramaswamy repeating conspiracy theories about 9/11. I think it's legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers, he told The Atlantic. Maybe the answer is 0. It is probably 0 for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it's anything other than 0.
I'm just asking questions.
Isn't that what they do on the Foxy News? Well, if Trump likes him, then I particularly don't like him.
Donald Trump is
Ramaswamy.
the greatest president in the 21st century.
Oh, he's going to love you for saying
and climate change is a hoax.
You could be the vice president. And it was rigged. He won the 2020. He's not guilty.
And look
He's
at
the
Wisconsin.
handsomest man.
What they found out in Wisconsin. I mean, it's amazing.
And he's definitely 6'3", 215 pounds.
Absolutely. Professional baseball player.
Not an ounce over. And have you seen the man golf? Club champion every year.
Come on. Have you seen him on the side of the bus? I mean, he looks like Rambo or Rocky sometimes. I mean, he's ripped.
If only he could be a totalitarian like Kim Jong-un. We could all worship him and have a picture of Trump in every room of our house, like Trump does.
Yeah, we kind of do now. I mean, how many times did that mugshot go around the world? Everyone's got a picture of Trump in their house. Crute, a little more serious here. I want to throw this one out there as well. The Raw
Yeah,
story
let's end on a serious note,
reporting. I know,
please.
but this is some crazy stuff.
Something from the Raw story to serious it up a bit.
Far-right Georgia lawmaker Tuesday suggested that although he'd prefer to resolve differences with his political adversaries peacefully, he won't rule out violence against those behind what he described as Nazism. Georgia State Senator Colton Moore,
handsome fella,
during an appearance on former Trump advisor Steve Bannon's The War Room, suggested that defunding Fulton County DA Fani Willis is among his top priorities. A quote, I was talking to one of my fellow senators today. I said, when was the last time you spent $1 million on anything? Moore said in an apparent reference to State Senator Sean Still, who was among 18 co-defendants, along with former President Trump, who were indicted earlier this month on allegations they tried to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election.
Didn't everybody?
I was like, we got a fellow senator going to spend $1 million in defense of himself. But it's just like Nazi Germany. I mean, they want to call us Nazis, and their actions are Nazism. I mean, first they go after your enemies, Moore added in an apparent reference to the poem, First They Came. And you don't say anything because they're your enemies. And that's exactly where the governor is right now. He looks at Donald Trump as the enemy. So he's like, I'm not going to say anything, right? Then they come after your friends. I got a friend who's being indicted. Many friends. Guess what? I'm seeing what they're doing to my enemies, and I'm trying to speak out for my friends, but my other senators are so reluctant. They're like, oh, I mean, don't want to be charged for obstruction of justice if I move out there and say anything. The folks up in your district that you represent, what are they telling you? Bannon asked. Oh, I mean, they couldn't be more excited about the fight that I pushed out. I mean, they just sweat every day for those tax dollars. They see what's going on. They're scared for themselves. I mean, my goodness, how many people in my district questioned that election? I mean, and now we've got 19 people who are facing the rest of their life in prison because they spoke out against an election. Moore said during a recent conversation with his fellow state senator, they discussed taking action right now because if we don't, our constituencies are going to be fighting in the streets. Do you want a civil war? ? I don't want a civil war. I don't want to have to draw my rifle. I want to make this problem go away with my legislative means of doing so. And the first step is to getting that done is to defund Fani Willis of any Georgia tax dollars. And hopefully Representative Jordan and Representative Biggs will follow suit in Congress and strip her of federal dollars too, because she's not upholding her oath to the Constitution.
To the cult.
Don't have to go get my rifle, Crute. I mean, we can just defund.
Annie, get your gun.
So, yeah, that's it. So, their fascism is our fascism, right? See, so they're
But I never once threatened to go get my gun.
Well, you don't have to threaten it. He just doesn't want to. See, he just doesn't want to do that.
I don't want to have to beat your ass, but I will.
Right. So, I mean, up is down, right is left, left is right. I mean, this is what the Republicans are I'm going to say down to. I got to tell you, man, this is always been there. Let's just say it. These folks, this guy Colton Moore, I mean, this isn't the first time he's had these thoughts. I mean, if a guy can talk like that and so easily just go to hell. Like I said, I don't want a civil war. I mean, all this civil war talking. Fight it. No, man, that's why we have these separate equal branches of government. That's why we have representative democracy. That's why we need people to show up and be engaged. Because if you don't, Colton Moore is going to be your state senator.
Dominic, I heard some of the best talk radio I've ever heard last night on this very station. It was Maggie Dawn. She was kicking ass and taking names. You're going to want to stick around. Maggie Dawn is putting out some damn fine radio. I'm just telling you, some of you can't handle the truth she's laying down. Maggie Dawn will be next. It's Tuesday night. That means educated educators talking education. Dr. Tim Slecker, Dr. Johnny Lupinacci doing the busted pencils thing. And then Rick Smith nationwide, 8 to 10 p.m. And don't forget our friend Robert Pilot and his team. Well, they do the Native Roots Radio I'm Awake at 10 o'clock at night right here on WMDX. Dom, great to see you. Nate, thanks for your help. We'll do it all tomorrow when Bill Press will be our fine guest right here on the radio. Keep it locked.